And it goes a little something like.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 19 of the Ballrooms and Bachelors podcast, where we talk about our experience as ballroom dancing students, Dancing with the Stars, and all things Bachelor. I'm Camille.
And I'm Matthew.
So on today's episode, we're going to talk about some of the group classes that we started in November, the ones that Matthew's been able to get to that I haven't been going to, a little bit more about our prep for our formation dance at the competition next week. Yes, it is next week.
Yeah.
The Glen Rock Spirit Party that we had the other day at the dance studio to prep for the competition, our November competition prep. So it's a lot of that today. And then we only had one episode each of Dancing with the Stars, the 90s night episode, where they had the relay dances, and one episode, but very dramatic episode of Bachelor in Paradise.
Yes.
So, Matthew, why don't you kick us off with the two group classes this week?
Awesome.
Well,
yeah.
End of last week and beginning of this week.
Yeah, that sounds great. So Friday we had the fancy footwork class. I know we had mentioned that before, and Yuri taught that, which is always a great time. He's always just so full of energy, so that makes the classes fun. So it was a pretty interesting concept, and I was interested to kind of see what it was going to be like, especially because Elena was saying, oh, that's what it's fancy footwork on Friday, and I wasn't sure, like I said, what it was going to be like, so I was curious to see kind of what it ended up being like. And kind of and I'm trying to remember, I think we incorporated a lot of different things. We worked on samba specifically, but then we kind of like, Yuri was like saying this is what a regular samba step would look like if you're doing a routine, and here's how you can make it a little bit look a little bit fancier. So he would kind of do like a volta, a botafogo, or something like that, and then he would do something where he'd like put an extra step in there, kind of like swiveling or something like that. It makes it look a little bit more detailed and intricate. So he kind of taught us how to kind of or incorporate different styles or different steps into a specific style to make it look fancier and make it look just cooler. So that was fun to do, and it was interesting because like I think there were a few lessons going on, so we took the back mirror, not the back mirror, but the mirror on the side of the room, instead of the big mirror across the front of the studio. So like but there was a lot of people in the class. There was like 6 of us, so had that like small space, and we're going around, but it was really good. A pretty interesting samba routine that was a lot of fun to do, and Yuri just came up with a really fun routine, and he said he wanted to build on that. I think we recorded it because he wanted to build on it, like continuing on the rest of the weeks of the class. So I'm excited about that because, like I said, that routine was really fun, and I think it's a really unique class. And like I said, it's cool to have something where it's like, oh, how can we make this look a little bit more interesting rather than just like, and obviously the typical like steps in a routine look really fun to do, and they are fun to do, but kind of spicing it up a little bit is really cool. So I really enjoyed the class. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, nice. Yeah, he I mean, he'll probably go over some of that stuff with me during my actual lessons, but I mean, I feel bad that I can't make it to that one because it is Latin, so I was like, probably good for me to know, but I'm good. I'm glad you enjoyed it too.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was really cool to do different things.
And then also, I know we were talking before we started recording. So Tuesday, you were able to make it to the West Coast Swing class.
Yes, finally.
I can't. I'm switching to the new aligner this week again.
Oh.
Okay.
I know. I know what I'm going through.
Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So Tuesday, like you said, it was West Coast Swing, and I'm happy I was able to make it this week because, like I had said last week, we were just used to having classes at 7:40 Tuesday, and I showed up at 7:40. It's 6:50 on Tuesdays this month. So I'm glad that we got to do that. And I'm glad I got to make it. It was just one of our friends and I, so it was just 2 of us in the class. And David, who taught it. So it was nice because he kind of got to work with us one-on-one, and like her and I partnered up together, and then David would like have me lead him and kind of show me what the leaders' parts were like that. And so that was a lot of fun. It's definitely, and he says he understood why, because there were points where it took us a little bit longer to like get more familiar with those steps, because West Coast Swing is so much different than East Coast Swing. And obviously East Coast Swing is what they kind of like teach you like when you're like slowly starting to get up to jive. So it's kind of like those like just like you just side and back step and all that stuff like that. So it's a little bit less intricate and detailed. But you're like doing the anchor step and like doing like the rotations and stuff like that in the West Coast Swing. So it makes it a little bit more difficult. And he was telling us, and it was a good point, that neither Sylvia and I, who was the person that was in the class with me, neither one of us do anything close to West Coast swing in our private lessons or anything that we do like on our own. So it made sense why it took a little bit longer for us to get into it, but we finally did like get a little bit more comfortable with it. He said he wanted to continue on with the routine that we did last week or did yesterday, start last week and kind of continue with that just because we were just starting to learn that. So we don't want to like get away from that. So he wants to kind of build upon what we did yesterday. So that was fun to do. And it's fun to kind of do a new style, like you were saying, that you're not as familiar with, or maybe you don't do as often. So that was fun to do. It's a fun style to do for sure.
Yeah, I think I've done the West Coast swing classes in the past, like a long time ago. But I just need to fix my lamp. Okay, sorry.
It's all good.
My LED lamp died last week. It just started glitching, and now I have an incandescent one, and now it's like staring me in the face. No, I used to do the West Coast swing class a few times in the past because it's, it cycles around. And I always mix up the differences between the East Coast swing and the West Coast swing, but I know when I do one versus the other, like, or both of them, I'm like, oh yeah, there's a huge difference.
The difference. Yeah, exactly.
But I have to work on jive for my own stuff. So I'm like, part of me is like, I don't want to confuse myself.
No, I don't either. That's why I'm kind of glad I'm just doing jive now.
Yeah. So okay, yeah. So the class that we did have, that was Friday and then the Tuesday. So Monday we had we're bouncing around on the days, but so Monday we had the formation dance preparation. We had a double lesson or a double class for, at least for some of us, it was a double class because we have like different parts of the routine. So it was the people that are in the other part of the routine had a double. So we were working on that. It's coming together a little bit more. Would you agree?
Well, I would agree. I'm still like, I don't want to say, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous about it. Yeah, I am somewhat nervous just because, again, with the like showcases or with formation dances, you only get to do them one time. Yeah. And you put in the work, I mean, that long. And like I had said before, we've been doing this routine. It was never, I mean, it obviously, of course, got added on to, but we've been really doing this routine since July. Like in some form. So like we are familiar with it, but again, when you were talking about like performing it in front of people and it's like very intricate and very detailed, we talked about there's multiple like pieces and multiple dances and songs along with in the routine. You
position changes.
Costume changes exactly. So I would agree though. I'm glad, I definitely agree that it's coming together well, and I know I can see the work and dedication everybody's putting into it. So I think that's going to definitely pay off. And I think, even though it might be somewhat stressful in the moment, I think like it's going to really pay off. So I'm very excited about that. I agree about that.
Yeah. I got my costume in the mail the other day I was laughing because it came in such a small box. And I was like, I really hope all the pieces are here and it fit.
I'm assuming it did.
And then I texted Elena the picture and I was like, this is the most awkward text you're getting. I'm sorry. But anyway, it will all make sense once you all see the video, but we're not talking anymore about that. Anyway, so in the vein of team spirit, on Tuesday we had our Glen Rock Spirit Party.
Yes.
And we had to do rounds. So some folks at the studio are competing in multiple dance styles. So we didn't have everybody do rounds in all of the styles they're doing, but we had kind of like a touch of a few of them. And so I did my tango and my quick step with David for standard. And then you did some of your rounds with Elena. And probably by the time you see this, Matthew's going to post some of his videos from that, like the rounds that we did at the Spirit Party for Latin. I'll post mine next week. And it was just to get everybody hyped up. We have the most number of people participating in a competition I think that Glen Rock has like ever seen, even considering before the pandemic. So it's really exciting.
That's awesome.
We have a whole new group of people that some of them haven't even competed before that are taking part in the formation dance. I know we're going to have a lot of spectators. So I don't know. I'm hoping, I know we've probably mentioned it in previous episodes, but if you're still new to the podcast, they do award top studio awards at each of the competitions, and we're really
got third last time, so we're inching for first.
We're going to be number one.
We're going to be number one.
We'll see.
Yes. But the party was a lot of fun, and it was
Yeah.
cool. You said to do the rounds and stuff like that, and it was fun to. No one has really, unless it's been like people kind of observing while like they've still been in the studio for my private lessons, but that's kind of really the first time I've done a round like front to back in front of people, my new Latin routines. So that was fun to do, and it was awesome too. And it was awesome to see you do your stand-up. It was so much fun to watch.
Yes, I'm glad I didn't totally mess up my quick step, because it given day when I was practicing, is a little bit like wonky. But thank you. Yeah, no, and it looked great, because I know we were talking before we started recording. Your Latin looks a lot stronger, and I think that hopefully you feel more confident going into next week that it's going to go well. So
I appreciate it. Yeah, I definitely feel that way. So I'm glad that the people see it. I appreciate that. And it was fun to just do kind of the regular social dances that we do at parties and stuff like that. That was fun to do as well.
Yeah, and so the thing that's so the the colors for the studio overall for Dance With Me are black and gold. And because they used to have competitions that were just solely called Team Match. The whole event was called Team Match, and each studio within the Dance With Me franchise, it had like its own color. Like I think Midtown was purple, I think Soho was white, Fort Lee's red, Glen Rock's black. I don't know the rest of them, but that was the thing, is like we all have a color. So it's like we have black, and the colors of the studio are already black and gold. So I think that's where like our colors are black and gold. We're not just black, we're black and gold. Exactly. So we also during the because this was actually before you joined the studio, but during the pandemic, they, as an effort to raise money for the staff and the instructors, they did this whole thing where you could like get a t-shirt custom designed to have whatever phrase you want on it. And that's probably because I don't know if you heard the story behind the whole thing with why we have all these t-shirts so that have all these phrases on them. So we had like previously wanted to make Glen Rock team t-shirts back in 2019, but we didn't get a chance to do it before that team match. And so then when the pandemic hit, and then they had this t-shirt thing, like they did a whole contest that it's like if you won the best design that sold the most shirts, you would win. I think some people got a trip to go to Dancing with the Stars, and I don't know, some things like that. I don't know who won, but we kind of like Glen Rock kind of just pulled together, because our thing was we just wanted to like raise money for the teachers, and we said if it's Dance With Me like Glen Rock specific shirts, then people will buy them, and it's like these are our team shirts and we're raising money for them. And like we also ordered some shirts for the instructors, so that's why Elena and I were actually wearing the same shirt, the Glen Rockettes one. So we had one that was the Glen Rockettes, and then one that was we are DWM family, I've got all my Glen Rockers with me. So Cynthia came up with that phrase. And another girl, Lauren, that used to be more involved with the studio, her and her mom, I think, came up with the Glen Rockettes. Like we picked a bunch of phrases, we voted on it, we like pooled the money together, we organized the shirts, we got everybody's like,
really awesome.
It was a lot. So that's why we have those shirts.
That's amazing. I ever told you that story. No, that's awesome. I love that. And actually, now we're talking about this, but we were talking about this last night. If you follow us on Instagram, you probably saw it. So they were handing out, I know, I wasn't sure if you wanted to mention this, but I was just like, it's appropriate. Is that they were at the end of the night, they were handing everybody roses because of who's competing. And it was so funny because Milos gave you yours, right?
Yes. I think it was Milos. I think Milos and Elena combined gave me mine.
Yeah, exactly.
I was the first one that they gave the rose to.
Right. And then Elena gave me mine. And they both asked us whenever and then David, I think, chimed in on it as well. Yeah. And they all asked us when they handed us the rose if we would accept that rose. And I thought it was just really funny. So
they didn't. I mean, I think David was saying it from the side, and I was just like, yes, I will accept this rose.
Yeah. And then Elena asked me when I went up.
Oh, so she did. Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of funny. It fit the theme very well.
They everybody knows.
Everybody knows. Exactly.
Whether they listen or they don't, they know.
They know. So it was fun.
Yeah, it was good. I feel the team spirit.
Yes, we're energized. Exactly.
So anyway, enough about the team spirit. Our own performance and competition and stuff. So I had, we recorded last week after. So I had a double lesson with David last week. I have done another double lesson with David tomorrow. We're recording this a little bit earlier this week because of the single episode that helped us out. So I have a double lesson with David and just reviewing standard, and then I have another lesson with him early next week right before the competition. And actually, the next time we record the episode, I will have already competed because I'm competing my standard on Thursday in the middle of the day. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel pretty good about everything. I just have to, we'll probably do a ton of rounds tomorrow, just go over some things. We'll do a round on Monday, and I just have to pack things and get my schedule. That's really it. So as far as that goes, because then by Thursday I'm kind of like done, and then most of the weekend I'm resting. But you have a lot more going on.
Oh my gosh, I know, it's crazy. So I actually, and I want to make sure I try to do this. So I'm happy about this. I have a lesson on Friday, and I also have my regular lesson next Monday, just because I wanted to have 2 lessons to where like we could both work on like one thing at a time for the whole lesson. So I'm happy about that. So I'm assuming we'll probably work on Showcase Friday and then our Latins on Monday, just because the Showcase is still the newer part of it, like of everything performance wise. So I think we're just gonna do like the Showcase over and over and over again on Friday, and then Monday do the just Latin rounds like we had talked about, and just do those over and over and over again. Because like I had said, we feel pretty good about our routines, and then like I said, the videos back last night, I feel good about how they look, and so I'm happy about that, and I'm really excited for everybody to see them. In terms of kind of like the stamina stuff, it's been a little bit like kind of, it's been a little bit more inconsistent just because of like our schedules, or my schedule especially. Just, like I've done a little bit more cardio, and I've walked a little bit a little bit more, but I haven't like ran much, just because like again it takes energy out of me. I'm just like, I'd rather preserve my energy but still work out in other ways. And on Tuesday especially, or no, not Tuesday, Monday, when I had my lesson plus my when I did my lesson, Elena wanted me to bring all my like routine clothes or outfits for our routines, plus the showcase dance, so we could practice in them and I could practice in mine. And so that was, and when I did that, I wore my new Latin shirt, which I had never worn before, and it's the first time I'm ever going to be competing in a Latin shirt, and it's a turtleneck, and so it's really, really hot. And right afterwards, I had to sit down because I was like so sweaty, and I think I probably burned a lot of calories. At least it felt like it doing that. And so at least that was a little bit of a workout for me. So I'm happy about that. And then so that was a good thing at least. And then the shirt looks cool, even though it takes a lot of sweat out of me. It's still it still looks cool. And then we officially finished our showcase, Elena and I, on Monday. So that was really exciting. And she had showed me, because she had told me like a few weeks ago, she was like, oh, I have these 2 outfits I was thinking of wearing for our showcase. Like, maybe you can give an opinion. And she brought them both on Monday, and she showed me, and we kind of put them up next to my costume or outfit. And we decided, and she's wearing something that like I think matches or goes well with mine. So I think it looked really cool. And it definitely is coming together really pretty well. I'm really excited to show people. And it's definitely, and I'm assuming you probably know, with doing a showcase and stuff like that, you definitely just got to do it over and over again. But I'm really excited to show people.
Yeah, because I had my lesson with Yuri, and I saw you, like, you did the rounds and stuff, and then I saw you working on the showcase stuff with like your outfits and things. So I was like looking a little bit, and I was like, okay, I want to watch, but I also need to pay attention to my lesson.
I know.
Then because I know, like, because of the timing, and then you guys had to change outfits and whatever, it went a little longer. And then I was talking to Valeria, Yuri's wife, for a little bit, because she was at the studio, and I was just talking to her about that, because she was giving me some critiques on my arms and whatnot for the cha-cha, because so I think that's, so I don't know, I mean, did you have anything else for the comp prep?
No, that's pretty much it. I'm just really excited to see everybody. I'm excited to see you. I'm excited to perform. I'm excited to see all our friends. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's crazy because the July one just seemed like it was a few weeks ago, and now we already have this one, so that's going to be fun.
It's like November. And the other thing too, and I know we mentioned in a previous episode, just like before I totally forget, we do have Andra coming again next week, and you're doing a coaching, and on Tuesday I'm doing my coaching also. I'm not competing a lot next week, but I will still have the coaching with her, so we'll have that to talk about next week.
That'll be fun.
So I'm looking forward to that. It's really funny. Somebody had there was this recent competition that Nino and Andra were at, and like Nino like slipped and like totally played up the whole dance after it. So someone I know that, you know, she doesn't dance or whatever, but she got like that reel, like somebody made a reel of this moment and like it put it on her news, like it went on her TikTok, not TikTok, her Instagram like algorithm or whatever, and she sent it to me, and I was just like, oh, that's so funny. I literally had a lesson with them. I know her. I'm seeing her on Tuesday.
That's
I
amazing.
was just like, wow, I seem like I'm totally just throwing names out there, but it's just funny how they're seeing this and they're like, look at this, and I'm like, oh, I know them. Yeah,
I know, it's crazy.
it's like,
I had
look
like
at
a
me,
similar, I know, it's really hilarious. And it's funny how that always ends up happening. I actually have a similar story about that too, kind of just on that topic. I remember I was looking up a samba video because I was just like, oh, this is kind of cool. And like I looked because I was watching it with Elena and I was showing her, I was like, oh, I like the samba thing. And then we both looked and we're like, oh my gosh, it's Nino and Andra. And it's like, oh, that's really funny how they come here to the studio. And it's just like, it's so funny. Like you see the people like dance and then like doing like, oh, well, they come in the studio too.
Yeah, it's just like, wow, like we actually know them.
I know, it's crazy.
Oh, yes, we have that next week too.
That
But
should be fun, yeah.
okay. All right, on to Dancing with the Stars.
Yes, let's do it.
All right, so I think we're going to constantly be in this battle, not like a fight, this battle of like how many honorable mentions and how many top dances do we do, because everybody's getting so good and it's so difficult. And I forced myself to do 3 and 3, even though I don't know, you were saying the numbers that you had, and I'm like, I'm probably in agreement with you. So, okay, go ahead. Start with your honorable mentions.
Okay. So, like you, no, I know it's becoming so difficult. At least when we get into the semifinals and the finals, it will be a little bit easier because there's 6 people, so it'll be a little bit easier to do that. So that's at least good. And so if people didn't see, it was 90s night, so that was a fun thing to kind of. It was definitely a fun theme. There were a lot of cool nostalgic things, even though I'm like. Barely a 90s kid, but still.
Yeah.
That was fun to see.
I was a kid in the 90s, so like exactly. I know, but I wasn't like anyway.
I know, it's like I don't remember the 90s much either because I don't remember much of it because I said last week I'm only like 7 months in the 90s, but that's pretty much it. But I'm still a 90s kid at heart.
Yes.
No matter how little of my life I was in it. So let me go back into my honorable mentions. Hang on. All right. Okay. So do you want me to start? Okay, let's do it. All right. So my first honorable mention was Trevor and Emma. I thought this was so fun. And they did a salsa, and it was really funny because when they like announced the like song list / dance style, and it was like salsa the Barbie girl, I'm like, wow, I'm really excited to see how Trevor does to this because it's like I don't think like he probably listens to this song much because like he said like he had said in the was it prom night? Was it prom night or must remember what?
Well, it was in prom night.
I'm just saying talk about why he was like the punk kid.
It was prom night because that was the point that it was just like, oh no, it was prom night because he was talking about how like he didn't go to prom, he was into that instead, and so that's when they did that other song.
The Green Day.
Green Day, I was like, I just blanked. I was like, was it Green Day? Yeah, and then so I'm like, there's no way he listened to this, and that's literally what he said in the intro package. Yeah,
exactly. So I thought that was funny, and like I don't know who said it. It might have been Emma, but I liked in the package where she was like, "Oh, we do look like Barbie and Ken and stuff like that." I'm like, oh, that they kind of do. They do look like it. So it fits the story. So it's perfect for them. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. I had said that I really liked that they were like Emma really came up with those matching like NSYNC doll moves, like so they're acting like Barbie and Ken, and then they went into the salsa and then went back into them acting like Barbie and Ken. I thought that was very clever, and I love that. Like I had said, the choreo was so creative. Emma's choreo is always great, so I absolutely loved it. I thought kind of her mixing, like I said, the character / the actual technique dance part of the dance. I love how that. I think they were intertwined very well. It didn't seem like it was. So I love that. Like I had said, he really got into the character. They both did. I said it was probably one of the best, like one of, if not the best. I'm not sure if I want to say it was his best, but very close to his best footwork and leading I've seen from him because it seems intentional, and you could tell again there was not much like second guessing from him. You could see how confident he was in that, so I really like that. I remember he had talked about this was the most confident he felt, and I definitely agreed with that. I definitely think he's the most confident he's built the entire competition. I would probably say, if I had to say like overall of the competition or the whole competition as a whole so far, I'd probably say his rumba, his contemporary last week, and this dance those were my top 3 for him. And so I definitely can see him, like I said, getting he's more confident, and I love to see that from him. it was a very cute routine. Like I had said, I loved the whole like storytelling.
Yeah.
It's part of it because it was just really cool to have them play that character. That lift they did was fun. I know they were kind of hyping it up in the package and they pulled it off, so that was fun to see. I agree. I remember, I think it might have been Carrie Ann and maybe Derek when they were talking about the legs could be a little bit like they didn't, maybe there wasn't enough pressure in the legs and feet at times, but again, it was very like small amounts of it because I didn't notice much of it. I thought the leg and footwork were pretty good the whole time, so I was happy to see that. And I agreed with Bruno where he had talked about where he has grown so much as a performer, and that's definitely accurate.
Yeah,
it's really really cool to see him. And he got 2 8s and 2 9s. I probably would have given him another 9 if it was me, but I really enjoyed the dance. I thought it was very very creative and clever.
Yeah, I also had him in honorable mentions. I kind of had him in the top for a while, and then I think the main thing that bumped him down for me was just like I felt like the technique just was not as strong compared to the other people, but like for him it was amazing. Like it's just the competition that I was comparing against was harder. It's not that he did worse. It's just I was like
other people were
but
stronger.
I just thought it was hilarious, the whole intro package. And then he was like starting to imitate the thing. And then he was just like, oh, like hop in. Like, and he did the thing with his eye. And I was like,
that was so funny.
I was like, no, we had Demented Doll last week with Chancellor. We don't need it again.
Another one.
No more Demented Doll. And they even cut the underwear and it said Trevor on the band of the underwear.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of, like, I don't know. But I mean, it was great. Like, I literally feel like I just want to pull it up on YouTube and watch it again. Because it was so. It was so entertaining, just the choreography, and he really pulled it off. So I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was an honorable mention just because some of them, the technique was stronger, but I loved it. Like, and I agree, the ones that are the most memorable of his, I think, for the season were the Roomba, this, and the contemporary from last week. Yeah. I'm glad he's like really back to where he was like showing that he was capable.
Exactly. And I know we were talking about that too, that we were hoping to see him like I know that he had kind of like I don't want to say plateau, but like he had maybe plateaued a little bit at a few points in the season, or maybe it went down a little bit. And we were talking about, we know he has that performance quality in him and the technique in him because we like in the Rumble and stuff like that. Like we're really hoping he can start kind of upward trajectory again, and he did that. So I'm really happy for him. Like he definitely deserves to be in the semifinal. So I'm really happy for him.
100%. Okay, who's next?
So next for me, and this is my last honorable mention, but it's Heidi and Artem, and they did the contemporary. And I guess I don't have to mention the songs. I wasn't gonna mention the songs that they danced to just because I guess if you want to see it, you can look them up. I just thought since it's like the 90s theme and the songs go well with the dance, or they're kind of a part of it.
Yes.
But if you want to go look them up, you can. But because I wrote them down and I was like, should I say them? But so Heidi and Artem did a contemporary, and I thought this was really a great opportunity for her. And I know we were like somewhat critical on her last week, but again, it wasn't out of any like, oh, she's like doing this wrong or anything like that. We weren't trying to be hard on her. I think it was just the observations we were making. Because I remember she had talked about like the social media stuff and everything like that, and the critique she was getting and kind of the hateful comments being really hard on her. And I feel bad just because of how like how hard that can be to kind of like not like you can kind of tune that out. And so I definitely understand that. But like I was saying, I did definitely think this was a great opportunity for her and a great style for her to get into putting all her emotions into it, because obviously the judges have been looking for. And I was really happy to see that this was the dance she got, because like Artem was saying, contemporary, and we've talked about this before as well, contemporary is like 100% leading with your emotions. That's basically what the whole dance style is built around. And so I thought this was a great opportunity for her to show that. I was happy to see in the package that her and Charlie were talking. I like that they kind of like put that together, like showing how, like you were saying last week, they really wanted to try, or they were like, people were like, oh my gosh, they're gonna like pin them against each other and stuff like that. And competition was like, well, that's not gonna happen. They seem like close, and obviously, and so I'm happy that they like showed them like, oh, they're supporting each other and stuff like that. So I thought that was really nice. And I had said you could really tell she's, even if it's hard for her to actually express it, she really is trying. So I was happy with that. I said she really, this dance was hands down probably one of the best of her actually like emoting. And she definitely, it was way better in terms of like from the previous weeks with her energy and her emotions. she was really in sync with Artem, which was really great to see. I loved I loved how the music with the song got louder in the chorus. And when that happened with the music, the dance got more energetic too. I liked that part of it. I thought it was really cool. Like when the chorus got louder, the like dance got more energetic. I thought that was really great. I was very happy. I'm just very happy for her. I felt so weird about Len's comments where he was talking about like he thought she was more inward. I didn't really pick up on that. I don't know. And again, he's maybe just a little bit, because I've noticed with the contemporary jazz, like Charleston, like all that stuff, he kind of usually rates them, even if all the other judges give him 10s, he usually gives them a 9 or 8. So it's just like, I don't know if he knows how to like interpret, maybe he doesn't interpret like those newer dances, maybe as maybe more detailedly, I don't know, but I didn't really understand what he meant, but
I don't know. Finish whatever you're saying.
And I remember he was talking about how he was thinking that Artem was gonna like do the lifts and stuff like that. I don't know what he like. I had said I don't think that the routine required lifts to get the story across. So I don't know if that's what he was meaning. It was like I expected you to do lifts and like thinking it was supposed to be a part of the routine. Like I just didn't think that it was required. And I said Bruno pulling Derek again. It's like that's always happening. It's like I feel bad for Derek at this point. He's just always like, and I agreed with Carrie Ann that she had let herself go, which was really great to see because I know she's been working on that. And I definitely think probably, I don't know like if I had to like say which ones have been her best, but I definitely would probably say in the top 3, if I had to like, I'm not sure what I put third or I wouldn't really like put it in an order, but I'd say at least the top 2 of 3 or 4 would be this one and her Mary Poppins one like we had talked about, because I feel like she got into the character of the dance in those dances, so I really enjoyed it.
I didn't have her as honorable mention. I did originally, and then when I was like, no, Camille, you just have to keep it as your top like 6 whatever, and I took her out of it, but like for her I thought it was very well done, and I was happy to see that because we do know that she did get eliminated later that night. And I thought in the intro package, she did talk about how rough it's been, and I think like again, obviously I know we were like picky in last week, and it's not like we were mad that
we weren't mad
anything for her. It was just like I just cannot believe that the judges made the decision they made. I mean, in hindsight, probably Jordan would have maybe gone home this week, because I just don't know how much stronger she would have been than some of the other ones. Like that probably could have happened. So I think it really only was saving Jordan an extra week. It just didn't make sense. Like the words in the music didn't make sense with the judges, like what they were saying earlier on and later on. And I think I was even catching up on our podcast, and we were talking about how, like, because I was like a week behind on re-listening and whatever. We were saying about how Heidi's improving every week. And then I was like, wait a second, did we contradict ourselves? And I was like, no, we did say Heidi was improving every week. I just felt like Jordan, it was like very visible she was improving every week. And it just seemed like, it did seem like Heidi was improving, but kind of getting to the plateau, especially at last week's point in time. So I was shocked. But I'm glad if it meant that she stayed so we could see this contemporary routine, which I thought was great. She really let herself go with it. And I'm glad she had this dance before
me too.
The journey ended for her. And I agree with Carrie Ann. And I think Len just kind of at first was like trying to say, I don't think that this style of dance suits you. And it's part of me is like, okay, yeah, but you still did well. I still enjoyed it, blah, 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 because that's fine. But he didn't say that.
No, he just kind of flat out,
Like you just heard the package of her talking about how everybody's being nasty online. And then you just are so blunt about that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes he's like direct like that, and then he like backs it up or whatever. But it's just like he just gets like grumpy.
Yeah.
Dude, what are you doing? Anyway, I felt bad for her with that particular commentary, because it's just like I thought it was really good.
Me too. Like I said, I would have given it all 9s if it was my decision. I don't think the 8 was really like I think the 8 was really low. I would have given it all 9. So
so
but I'm glad she went on the high note, because like I think she was proud of herself based on what I saw. Like she was talking about, I really am happy with how this went. I remember when Alfonso was asking her, so I'm very happy that she at least got to go out on the high note.
All right. So I had two other honorable mentions, so I'll go
Okay.
through those. The first one, Shangela and Gleb. And I
Yes.
wanted to keep them in my top, but I just couldn't. When I narrowed it down to three, I just couldn't. They did a samba to the Spice Girls,
Yes.
which it was so funny because when they posted the Instagram page, like they posted the post about her doing that, and I think
Yeah.
I commented from my personal account, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited! Like this is great for her. And then the Dancing with the Stars page commented, and they're like, just wait until you see the routine. Like, they reflect me.
I love that.
It was the best Latin technique that I have
Yes.
seen from her.
Hands
So
down.
I was really happy to see that. It wasn't as strong as I still would have liked to see, but we do know she has a titanium rod in one of her legs, so I'm like constantly trying to determine which leg it is. I think it's the left. That is what I've deduced. This just seems like such an odd thing to be discussing. But I mean, the performance quality, do we even need to talk? I mean, it was amazing about how like the performance was that they had brought out some of the dancers and then they looked
like
it literally looked like the Spice Girls. And I did listen to the Spice Girls a lot when I was younger. And some of the Spice Girls actually were on Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah.
Previously. I think it was Mel
B and Max.
Their names. Yeah. I think it was Mel B.
Yeah, it was Mel B, and I'm not sure who else, but I know Mel B was on. I think maybe season 2, 3, something
there
like
were
that.
two of them. I think there were two of them that were on it.
There might have been. Yeah, I vaguely remember a second one. Yeah.
But anyway, it was cool. So I was really happy to see her do that. It was so good.
Yes.
It was just amazing. I really enjoyed it. Like from the performance aspect, and I was really happy to see an improvement in her Latin technique, which again in like the relay dances was reiterated that her Latin technique did improve. But anyway, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Like I said, I had them in my top, but I originally have my own mentions too, but then I was like, you know what, I just like this way too much to have it like an honorable mention. So I was like, I don't know. It was just so confusing. But it was so good. Hands down, like you said, it was her best Latin routine. Because like we had talked about before, her smooth and standard dances, she's kind of like nailed every single time. And then when it comes to like the Latin dances, she's like, and I remember Derek, I think maybe Derek and Len had called it out a little bit, where like she can be a little bit wobbly on like the turns and stuff like that in her Latin routines. And it's like dancing in heels, I know I can't even imagine. And like I know for me, just dancing in my Latin men heels, or Latin shoes with the heels on it, that's not easy. So I can imagine like what girls go through with the Latin heels. But it was so good. And I love, like you said, how they had like all the other like troop members. I think Daniela was one of them too, with the Spice Girls. I think it might have been Daniela, Katarina, Alexis, and one other person maybe.
I know, I was trying to figure it out. I couldn't tell from the Danielle was definitely up there. I'll have to like go look at stills from it and try to look. I might stalk the Instagram page. It was so
exactly. I think I saw the two I had mentioned. I think Katarina was the one in like the British thing, the British flag shirt. And I think Alexis was the one in the blonde wig. I think that's what it was. And I had said that this song really fits her personality. Like you had talked about that full on 100% personality. It's like it really fits her personality. I loved the performance aspect. You said, I say every week, probably one of the best I've ever seen on the show. It's so good. Like you had said, her energy and footwork were really good. I really enjoyed that. Her arms were great. Her bachacatas were really great. I remember that. Those are really good, and those are not easy. I've only attempted them a few times, but my gosh, they're difficult. And this is kind of like going back to the package, but Gleb had said, and I remember Carrie Ann has mentioned this, and I think a lot of other stars and pros have mentioned this, that they view samba as, if not the toughest dance, one of the toughest, but they a lot of times say it is the toughest. And I'd say for me, it's probably the toughest Latin dance I do. It's probably tied for my favorite that I do, but it's hands down the hardest because there's just so much going on.
Yeah.
And when people see the samba balance, it's like, that's probably not that hard. It's not easy. It's the samba balance is really hard to do. And I agreed with Len that she always gives her all about, and that was awesome to see. And they got a 10 and 3 9s. I probably would have maybe given one more 10, but I think the 3 9s will probably be decent. Because I remember, I think it might have been Len and Derek talking about where like the consistency in her footwork a little bit more, because I know that's what they've kind of talked about her Latin routines, that sometimes, like we had talked about, it can be a little bit more ugly, and just they wanted a little bit more consistency out of the footwork and leg work in her Latin routines, and I think that's why they gave him the 9s. But I know they overall really enjoyed it, so I think it was a fair score. But a fantastic dance, hands down.
I think we got the crispy chicken. Now we just need the spicy crispy chicken.
Yes,
like
spicy crispy chicken. Exactly.
I mean, it's spicy, all right, but I think it's just like we're adding the sauce, and we need like that spice like baked into the chicken.
Exactly, right.
I really just went very far with that analogy. Anyway, no, I and just like with samba too. I mean, I don't disagree that it is one of the hardest dances. I do agree with that. I think for me personally, I don't know. It's not as hard for me. I don't know if I'm just saying that because I think I've just worked on it a long time.
Yeah.
Because even though I didn't really start competing in ballroom until 2019, I was doing lessons since like 2016. So I was learning it. I was doing group classes here and there. I was doing lessons and I was learning about some of it. I know I obviously have to continue to master the bounce and the proper like body positioning with the bounce and all that, because I think the hardest part is if the first thing that you learn when you're taught to do it is you bounce. You're like literally bouncing, and you're not supposed to look like that. The bouncing is in the body, not in your like upper part of your body. So like you're going to try to do the bounce, and then even I know like prior competitions that I would go back. I honestly never really dissected my last competition video to see if I did this. I should go do that. But I know like some of the competitions that I did, you'd see like you're trying to get into the rhythm of the dance, and I'd be like bopping my head, and it's just like a natural thing to do. You have to consciously not do that.
Yes.
And get the bounce like in your body. And the other thing is just the steps. It's not like, when you're doing cha-cha, like, and you probably agree, it's like 1 2 cha-cha-cha, 1 2 cha-cha-cha. Like typically that is the whole, those are the steps. And Roomba's like 1 2 3 4, and all that. So when you do samba, there are so many different varieties of timings for the steps, and it's not just like, it's like, oh, here and there's a step that has a different timing like you might have in cha-cha. It's like, no, like there's pretty much every step has a different timing, so you have to do that. I think it's probably just easier for me because, like, again, I've had a lot of time to work on it, and I am, knock on wood, pretty good with like picking up choreography because of dancing and skating for so many years, because I did like other dance before this. So like I have that on my side, but it is hard to do, and especially for people that don't really have any formal dance training, really, it's difficult. So
yeah, I totally agree. And I definitely have gotten better at it, like during my year of dance. I do feel way more comfortable with it, obviously, than I felt back in February when I danced it for the first time in a competition. But I think you were just saying, since like cha-cha and rumba, and even jive to an extent, because it's like the triple step, back step with jive. There's, like you said, there's kind of like a detailed like step order every single like time for those 3 dances. But with samba, it's like it can be a different step every single time, so it's just like that's what I think is difficult. So I do agree with what like a lot of people on the show say, that it's a difficult dance, because it really is.
I think I just really like samba.
I love samba. It's probably tied for one of my favorites. I do.
Oh goodness. Okay, anyway, the whole samba diatribe.
Okay,
so my other honorable mention, which I just, again, I wanted to keep it kind of in the top, but I bumped him down. Daniel and Britt. So, I mean, I think we had like Memorable Year Night, and that's when a lot of people kind of had like more of like the
emotional,
the heartfelt, emotional stories. But Daniel and Britt did the jazz, and it was with what they did with the song. He really talked about this emotional story about. I mean, we've seen about how he has his adopted parents, his 2 moms that he has, and he talked a little bit more about what had happened with his biological mother, and then he was given up for adoption. And unfortunately, like around when he was 18 months old, apparently she was also deaf, and he was 18 months old, and she started doing drugs, and she left him at his friend's house and never came to get him. So but fortunately he did end up, it seems like, in a loving home with 2 caring parents, and it's wonderful. But he talked about reuniting with his biological mom and connecting with her like many years later, and they hugged each other, and then she ended up she had cancer really badly, and I think she passed away 2 weeks after that. So I know it was just very tough for him. He was talking about that, and then he also talked about, you know, they wanted to have a part of the song that was silent, so
Yeah.
people would like open their eyes up to
Like what he
what,
goes through. Yeah.
yeah, what he goes through. And I think was it Niall? I think Niall had done a dance similar to
Yes,
that.
Niall did the one with the
Yeah.
blindfold. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. He did do it with the blind. Okay. I'd have to go back and yeah, I think that's the point. It's just like they've done stuff like this in the past, but you know what? You get different viewers every season, so
Yeah.
I'm happy that he is doing this, and he's also like um emphasizing this point of just, you know, like it just reminds everybody that this is what he goes through. So I thought it was really well done. It was very powerful, and I, you know, he's had some really great emotional performances too, like the contemporary he did, and
Yeah.
this was just like another great one that I feel like at least it wasn't so much that it was being picky on technique. He could just really focus on the story and the emotional expression, and
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. It was awesome. And like you had said, it was awesome to see kind of, and I remember he
Mm-hmm.
talked about this in the package, that obviously it probably would be hard for me to do as well. Like it was very hard for him to open up about that story because like obviously he's sharing it with everybody that's watching, not
Yeah.
just Britt and Gabe. But
Mm-hmm.
it was nice to have. I'm glad that he felt comfortable enough to share that because it definitely again opened up the eyes of all the viewers again, what kind of he goes through, maybe what his life would have,
Mm-hmm.
what his life was before he got adopted, and kind of he was able to comprehend that and stuff like that. I I thought that the story fit well with the dance, so I'm happy that he was able to do
Mm-hmm.
that. And I remember we talked about this a lot of times in the past episodes. Britt is such a comforting partner to him. I think she's
Mm-hmm.
probably the best partner he could have ever had on the show this season.
Yeah.
She's just so understanding of him and just so like dedicated to helping him, but then also like
Mm-hmm.
being there for him and like you said, reassuring him and stuff like that. So I love Brit. I think she's such a great pro for him,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just so happy with what she's done with him this season.
Yeah.
Again, like we've talked about, the concept was so clever to kind of giving the audience a perspective of why it's like for him when they by the turning the
Mm-hmm.
music off. I thought that was really clever, and I like how they kind of like they like faded it out and then brought it back in. I thought that was like
Yeah.
really cool. I thought that was really clever. I thought they were really in sync. Again, it really jazz and in the contemporary stuff like that. It's not as much about technique. It's just kind of how it makes you feel. But I thought they were really in sync. The choreo by Britt was fantastic as always.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the energy and the performance quality as always, as he's always done, is great. And it's just even more impressive, like we had talked about before, that with him not being able to hear, but he still gives it like 110% every single performance.
Yeah.
It's like awesome to see. So I love that.
Mm-hmm.
There were so many amazing jazz elements, and with me being in the jazz dance class now, it's cool to like
Yeah.
see those different steps and stuff. So it's cool to it really had a lot of cool jazz elements in the dance. It was fun to see
Mm-hmm.
that. Um, I definitely think it was one of his best dances by far. I know we've talked about this with his week one tango and his prom night cha-cha. I probably say those are like some of my favorites from him. And
Mm-hmm.
I probably say this is up there with either, if not top three, top four for him. It was really
Mm-hmm.
good. It was great. I agree with Carrie Ann, what she had talked about, that the storytelling was great, and that it was awesome for him that like it wasn't just like an inspiring dance or like a dance that people enjoyed. It was like an actual kind of like eye-opening
Yeah.
teaching moment for people, and I really agreed with that. So I thought that was
Mm-hmm.
amazing. Like Len had said, he comes out with all the like so much confidence every week, and so I love that.
Yeah.
I remember Derek had said that. I think yeah, Derek had said, and I had already said this, but he had said that he's such a great partner for Brit because they're so like just intertwined with each other, and I think it's just so great to see that. And then Bruno had said that it's so special to
Mm-hmm.
watch him dance because he's so passionate, and that's totally true.
Yeah.
And I wrote down one other note that said it was probably so powerful for Brit to experience what he does, like she had said in the skybox, where Alfonso had asked, "So what is it like to kind of, even though you can hear the music, what was it like for you to dance without any music?" And she had said it really was an eye-opening thing
Mm-hmm.
because like obviously a lot of almost all dancers rely on the music, and so it was probably like, wow, this is crazy, like it's probably hard to even comprehend. So
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was great. And the I'm so glad he got his tens. and
Yeah.
it was definitely. I probably would have given it a perfect score just based on my own thoughts. I again with the Len with the contemporary jazz stuff, he usually never gives a perfect score if there is a chance for it. But I'm glad I would have given a perfect score, but I'm so glad he got his tens, and it was a great dance. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go on to the 3 top dances.
Let's do it. Who do you want to? Let's see. Okay.
I don't know. Up to you.
All right. Yeah. So I'm gonna start with Wayne and Whitney. This was so fantastic. Oh my gosh, I don't even know. I don't even know where to start. So he did. What'd you say?
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay, yeah. But he did a salsa to Motown Philly by Boyz II Men, and I remember, I think Wanye from Boyz II Men and Lindsay when he was on the show, they danced to this song too, so that kind of brought back the memory with that. But I knew,
okay,
that, yeah, I think it might have been like 5 to 7 years ago or so, but I remember that dance. I remember they danced to it because it was like, oh, it's a song or something like that. But this was so fantastic, and they kind of talked about in the package where, because obviously he like hosts Let's Make a Deal, and then he also does like other stuff with other production. So his like busy schedule throughout the week, it makes it hard for the rehearsal. Like I can't even imagine how busy he is. But and he was talking about how like his like he's talking about he has talked about his like lingering knee issue throughout the competition and all the judges like, oh, don't push it. And obviously, if people know salsa, you do use your knees a lot because it's just your legs going back and forth. So you use that, like you definitely use your knee a lot in salsa. And so, but he said he wasn't gonna let that stop him. So I love that determination. The song, and I knew when, like again, like when I saw the songs last dance list, I knew this song fits him so perfectly because it just has that performative quality. I knew he was gonna kill it. And I said Whitney is the queen of this kind of routine, or these kind of routines where it's like the hip hop R&B song to a ballroom style. She always knows how to incorporate like 50-50, completely perfectly mixed ballroom technique, and then the like hip hop kind of cool, different intricate moves like along with it. She's always great at that, and so I love that. I love the theme and the outfits. I love how she was kind of more like preppy person. He was more like the nerdy kid. I thought that was really cool. I love that. Just like Shangela, Wayne's performance quality, I can't even say enough about it. It's so great. His footwork was really smooth and then sharp, just like Len had said, where there were times where it was really smooth and then it was really sharp. He had really great control and stamina throughout the dance. I loved it. The choreo, I love so much. I think Whitney's probably one of the best choreographers I've ever seen on the show. She's so great. I know Bruno had talked about that when he's in the zone with like the synchronicity and the rhythm and all that kind of stuff, he's unstoppable and so fantastic. So I really agreed with that. Carrie said that it was his best dance and he looked so relaxed. I probably would agree it was one of his best. It's hard for me to even say, like, in terms of like again the comfortability and all that stuff like Carrie Ann said, I probably would say it's his best dance. I loved his jazz dance to the for the Hamilton dance that he did. I probably would tie that for my favorite dance of his. And so I probably tie that for my 2 best dances for him. But I definitely agreed with Carrie Ann. He had like no stress, nothing out. He was just like completely relaxed and in the zone and was like, I'm doing this. I love that. He was still great. And the routine was so difficult, like Derek had said. There were so many different things, but he killed it. And you can tell how dedicated he was and how dedicated he is. And I absolutely love to see that. He's so humble and so just driven. I love seeing that out of him. And the perfect score was so well deserved. It was so great.
Yeah, I was happy to see him back to his like top dance
Me too,
performance status. I just was actually double checking because he was saying about how he's hosting the AMAs, and I said to him, I was like, I need to look when the AMAs are. It's next Sunday night. I just looked it up.
Okay.
And put a reminder for myself. So like when we get back from the competition that night, you can sit down and watch him host the AMAs. So exactly. I really enjoyed it. It was one of my top ones, obviously. And I will say I don't think it was like my favorite out of the ones he's done overall, like in the scope of the season, but it was very well done. And it was funny because like they kept saying like Boyz II Men, and he was saying he's like, oh, 1990 year, that's the year that it was like my come up, I became a man, and then it's like Boyz II Men, and I was like, ha. Anyway, but I don't think that was necessarily intentional. I think they just
it was that plan,
but but it was really good.
Yeah, it was really good.
Okay, next.
All right, so next we'll go with Charlie and Mark. and they did a tango. And to I think it's song 2, right? Is that what it's called? I think it's song 2. I forgot what it was. I think it's song 2 or song number 2, something like that. I will check that, but I obviously know the song. And I loved how Mark was doing like the 90s test with her in the package, and like obviously she's not a 90s kid, so it was funny to see her like. And I love how Alfonso was like, what have you learned about the 90s now, and stuff like that. And so I thought that was kind of funny. I love the green like overall overall kind of aura and just basic overall like theme of it. I thought that was so cool. As always, her leg and footwork was so great. It was so awesome. Her performance quality, as we talked about, I think that's probably one of the top she's done in terms of like actually expressing. I remember we had talked about the contemporary woman. And I think with her foxtrot and stuff like that, those were like really, really top tier, putting in her emotion and stuff like that. And the Simpsons one. But I'd say maybe out of the other ones, the performances were fantastic. But then I remember Karen was like saying maybe perform a little bit more outward more. And I remember we had agreed with that. I think she went back to having that top tier energy performance level. And so I'm really happy to see that. Her frame was great, way better. And I know that's been something that she's been really wanting to work on. I remember, I think it was her foxtrot frame was way better than her quick step frame. And I think her tango frame was way better than her, a huge improvement over her foxtrot frame. So I just think she's getting better at it every single time she's in frame. And I'd love to see that. Her kicks were awesome. Her posture was so good. I love the choreo. Mark's choreo is always great. I remember Len had said that her control and her turns were great, and I definitely agreed with that. There was great energy, attack, fierceness, and power in the dance, which obviously is kind of somewhat that's what tango is known for, so that was awesome to see. And Carrie Ann had said that there was a sharp and softness, there was a lot of sharp and softness moves, so it was like again kind of contrasting with each other, so that was awesome to see. And it was a very detailed routine, and I agree with all the judges' comments, and the perfect score was also well deserved. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I love how she said about the 90s. She was like, it was the best times of my life. She wasn't born yet. No, I agree with everything you said. It was really, really well done. I just panicked at the one part. She did this like jump thing, and it looked a little lift-ish, and I got a little nervous. Because they'll nail them about that. And my friend had texted me the other day, and I forgot if we've said it on the podcast. We probably have, but because some people are like, why are some dances allowing lift and other ones not? So basically, like Latin and any of the standard or smooth type of dances, you can't have a lift. Like, so that's tango, that's samba, that's cha-cha, rumba, all of those stuff. But so like Argentine tango you can, salsa you can, contemporary jazz, I guess Charleston, like all of those types of, and those you can. So that's why like she did an Argentine tango last week, she could do it, and then now when she was doing tango she can't. So I just panicked, and I was like, I hope they don't nail her for that. But it was really good. I think the scores definitely were deserved, and her performing more outwardly, I agree, she definitely delivered on that.
Yes, it was great.
Okay, last but
not least, let's go with Gabby.
And all of the commentary afterwards.
Yes. What'd you say?
And all of the commentary after.
Exactly, and all the commentary after.
Anyway,
exactly. So of course, Gabby Duval, and with the samba to Live in La Vida Loca. And I was so excited that when they posted samba and the song, I was like, she's gonna absolutely kill it, and she didn't disappoint. And I'm happy Val's back. It was so great to see him back. And obviously we love Val, and it was awesome to see him. He did a fantastic job with her Argentine tango last week, and I know Val was itching to get back, so I'm so happy he's back. It was awesome to see him. And I loved in the package how like Val was asking her like the moments of her life, like how loca it was. I thought that was really funny. And she was talking about like being on the show and stuff like that, and doing samba, and she was like, it's premiere loca. I thought that was really funny. I thought that was really funny and clever. And they were talking about putting in the samba role in the dance, and it looks so difficult. I've never done one because I'm not at that level yet, but it looks so difficult. The samba role looks so difficult. So going to the dance, I thought she had such great control of her movements. It was awesome to see. I think since her tango, she's really put in that emotion and that energy that Carrie Ann was wanting to see. I think that was kind of the turning point. every single dance she's done, she's kind of done those facial expressions and put in the energy and stuff like that. So I definitely, and it was obviously great the whole competition. It has been, but I think that was the turning point of the energy and the emotion. So this dance was no exception. It was great. The routine, the choreo was fantastic from Val. The routine was so difficult in detail. There were so many different things that were going on in there. So it was awesome. She killed the samba roll. The samba roll was so good. The leg and footwork was great. The samba bounce was great that she had. It was so fantastic. I said it was probably one of her best Latin routines, I think.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I agree.
I said Derek's Len impression. That was really funny. Where they're always trying to.
Yeah.
Oh, I know they're always trying to do that. And then Bruno was right that the technique and content was very difficult, and she did really good. Carrie Ann was right. I agree with Carrie Ann that she's right about her musicality and posture was great. That was so awesome. And then I said at the end, I said it was so funny how they were going to try and have Derek take off his shirt, and then they didn't, and then they went to the skybox, and then like they were asking Gabby questions, and then you heard the whole crowd cheering, and then Derek and Bruno were taking off their shirts, and then Gabby was just going crazy. She's like, yeah. And that was so funny. I love that. And then Alfonso was like, I'm not taking off my shirt. I'm like, that's so funny. That was probably one of the most funniest moments I've ever seen this season. That was so hilarious. But I was like, I thought it would be Bruno taking off his shirt because he's like down to always do that.
Well, I mean, it was both of them. So
it was both of them, so they both did it. So it was like, you know what, we got you for once. That was awesome. And I had said, she got the perfect score, and it was so well deserved. I thought it was fantastic.
It was amazing. Her technique was great. It's Derek. I feel like I need to take my shirt off. And then Bruno was going nuts, and then what else? What was I saying? Alfonso's face. They were putting Alfonso's face on Belle's chest. He's like, "Oh, it's there for you." And then Gabby's like, "You want to try me?" And he's like, "No." I was like, "Ay." Alfonso just so directly said, "I'm not taking off my shirt," and I laughed. But yeah, the samba rolls. Back to the dance. No, the samba rolls. I haven't done them in that position like that. It's like, I don't know, what is that, shadow position? I should know this.
I think so, yeah.
I feel like I'm like, just tell me what I need to do. I don't know the names of everything, but I do the one where you're facing the partner and you go this way.
Okay, yeah.
I don't do that one, at least not now. We're in the midst of changing my samba choreography, so maybe it will be there. Who knows? Yeah. It's similar, like at least in the general like way that you have to move your body to do it. It is very difficult. It's very difficult. Yeah. I was like, what are you doing? And it's just difficult because like you have to be so in sync with your partner, and you have to have the flexibility, and it's fast, and to, do the feet correctly and not whack into, I mean, we're competing with other people. Don't whack into somebody else on the floor, so they are very difficult. It is like one of the harder Latin choreographic steps is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I thought she did really, really well. She deserved that score.
Exactly.
And then all the extra stuff just made the whole situation hilarious.
I know. And like you had said, those it's interesting. Obviously with me still being in the bronze level, I'm not nowhere near close to the summer rolls yet, but we do have something somewhat close in my routine, which is the Korjaka, and it's kind of like a forward facing one where Elena and I are facing each other. So we're not kind of like going around like that, but it's more kind of like turning her like this. So it's still kind of that circular motion, but going inward instead of outward. Yeah. And we're facing each other instead of facing both backwards. So it kind of still has that like circular motion in it. But whenever I've seen them, it's like, man, those look difficult.
Yeah. It takes a while. I don't know. It's not so bad once you start doing them, but I've been doing that exactly. But anyway, so I know we had a bunch of other actually let's go to the relay dances. Okay. So
I'm glad they brought this back.
What?
I'm glad they brought this back.
Yeah, I don't remember the last time they did the relay dances.
It's been a while. They've done the dance off, which I find very distracting. So I'd rather have them do this.
Yeah. And it was cool because then that's when they brought in all the special performances. So so Shangela and Daniel were up first. They did the cha-cha to Ice Ice Baby, and their judge that they had was Len, that the judge that would pick who it was. They both did really well. I definitely feel like Shangela deserved to win because her technique definitely looks stronger. I think had it maybe been a Roomba or something like that, Daniel might have won.
Mhm.
Because I think Daniel had mastered the technique maybe a little more for like Roomba versus Cha-Cha. But yeah, I thought that was fair. I don't know what you
Mhm.
thought.
No, I thought it was fair as well. I think that was one of the ones in the relay round that it was very difficult for me to decide. Or not very difficult, but I think it wasn't like one runner ran away with it than the other.
Yeah.
That's like it wasn't like Shangela completely like out dance like
Mhm.
Daniel. I felt like they were almost 50-50. So
Yeah.
why it was like difficult for me to be like, and I started to kind of see the balance things
Mhm.
in Shangela's footwork that the judges have been talking about in
Yeah.
it. So that's why I kind of was like, maybe Daniel a little bit, but I think overall in the scope of things, Shangela deserved to win. But I thought Daniel did great as well.
Yeah. Then
Then
it was Vinny and Trevor, and
yeah,
they did their samba. So the interesting thing was the samba that Vinny had done was the one when they did the song from Luca, and Trevor had done it from Cars. So like that was one of Vinny's best dances, and that was not one of Trevor's best
was best
dances.
dances. Yeah,
So Carrie Ann was the judge, and then they did pick Trevor. I was kind of like, I don't know. I thought Vinny could have gotten it or should have gotten it just because I felt like what we were talking about with samba and the bouncing.
yeah,
Trevor at first looked very bouncy at first.
yeah.
Whereas I thought Vinny had a little more control over it, but I guess they were looking at the overall performance and that's why they swung towards Trevor. But it's fine. I mean, it's not like I disliked Trevor's performance.
No, yeah. No, I'd agree. I would say that they both did good samba roles,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what Carrie was saying. Well, we're looking for that, so I think they both did decent with that. I
Yeah.
agree that Trevor was pretty bouncy at the beginning, but I think the overall performance, in terms, 'cause I remember that Derek was saying that
Mm-hmm.
Trevor's routine was a little bit more difficult. So I
Yeah.
think that grand scope of things, I think with the overall performance, I
Maybe
think it
that's
was
fine.
fair that Trevor won.
Yeah.
Um, I think it could have gone either way as well, but I think probably overall it made sense that Trevor won, in my opinion.
Yeah, I wasn't analyzing it in that sense, and I think that's probably what it was that I didn't even think
Yeah,
about. But that makes sense. I mean, it's just like I kind of felt like they were going to give it to Trevor, but it was one that I was like, oh, maybe Vinny could pull ahead because that was like one of his stronger dances.
yeah,
Um,
and
but
then
oh yeah, Heidi and Wayne.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Did you have anything else about the other one?
No, yeah, Vinny and Trevor. I think that was all I had. But yeah, Heidi
Okay.
and Wayne.
Yeah,
They also did a samba, and Bruno was their judge, and they gave it to Wayne, and I felt like that was going to kind of be like expected. However, Heidi did really well,
she did.
and I think it was a true testament to she really has learned the technique very well
Yes.
over the weeks that she's been with the competition, and I definitely, I don't know, I guess if anything, that's like my honorable mention for her. That wasn't in the
Yes.
actual scope of the dances, but I did want to make sure I said that.
Yes. Yeah. 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 And it was cool to see them dance to Salt and Pepper. I thought that was pretty cool. That was
Mm-hmm.
nice to see. Yeah, I agree with you. I think Heidi, she could have easily won it, in my opinion. And not in terms of like them, like I had said with Shangela and Daniel. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it was very 50-50, but they both did really well.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me
Yeah.
to like actually decide. And I really liked Heidi's performance. I thought she had really powerful movements and way better energy than she like that kind of transferred over from the contemporary. You could see that, and that was awesome to see. Wayne, I thought had really good footwork and posture, and the performance was always good as always. They both had good bounces in their samba, so I thought it could have gone to either one of them, but I
Mm-hmm.
think that Wayne won.
Yeah. And then the really tight one.
Yes.
Charlie and Gabby that did the salsa, and Derek was their judge. And I was like, honestly, it could go either way, like even
Yes.
before we saw the dances. Um, I think that, you know, they both did amazing.
They did.
And Charlie did win it. And I think Derek did make the point that it was just like she was a little bit sharper and like her technique was cleaner. And I really feel like that's the main difference between the two of them is that like Charlie is just like she is just so polished on that technique that it's not like Gabby's not. It's just that when you look at them back to back, the way that was, it's just so obvious. I mean, like Gabby's got the performance like that will not quit, but just
Yeah.
like even in her day-to-day life. So that's a definite thing.
Yeah.
That I just was like 100%. But I do agree with Derek's decision, but I was just like,
Yes.
oh man, it's
Yeah,
so tight.
exactly.
It's so tight. But
I completely agree.
okay, so what else did you have about Charlie and Gabby?
Yeah, I completely agree what you were saying in terms of like it could have gone to either one of them. I think they both did
Mm-hmm.
fantastic. Um, I kind of had a like little feeling in my mind that it was like I think just based on there were somewhat more of like detailed steps I think in Charlie's that I saw that I feel like I was like, and it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I like this way better. Like I said, I liked both
Mm-hmm.
equally, and they were both fantastic. But I kind of was thinking what the judges might think, and when it was like, oh, this might be a little bit more detailed, they're going to go for Charlie. So that's why I kind of expected her to win. So that's why I kind of expected that. But both of them could have won, and they were both so great.
Yes. So do you want to go over the overall notes or elimination conversation?
We do elimination first. That can maybe that'll go a little
Okay.
bit shorter. With do you want to start?
Yeah, so Vinny and Coco, I mean, because I know we haven't spoken about their dance before. So the two couples that went home, it was Heidi because they picked like the lowest score, and then they were like, the judges cannot save you, and that was how they did it. And you know, and then then it was between Trevor and Vinny, and then they saved Trevor. So yeah, I mean, I think they were kind of the ones that I think we expected to go home.
Yeah.
But I think just like jumping back to Vinny and Coco's performance and things that we've talked about in the previous week. So they did a tango. I thought it was much better technique, and I thought it was a lot better for him. Yes. And again, I think it was good that I feel like Vinny and Coco could kind of go out like on a high note.
Yes.
As I felt like it was kind of the same thing for Heidi, but I kind of felt bad that Len said what he said, because it was like, read the room, she's probably gonna go home.
I know.
Like, just leave it alone. I agree they were probably the next ones to go, and I'm obviously, I feel bad because it's like they've gotten so far in the competition, and then I don't know. I think honestly, Trevor and Daniel might be the next two to go. I don't know if they're doing a double elimination next week, because there's 6 of them, so I'm assuming they're going to be 6, and then maybe they do another double elimination, and there's 4 for the final. And then, so I'm assuming, and I honestly feel like Trevor and Daniel are probably on the chopping block for next week, is my hunch. So we will see. Did you have anything else about the elimination? And then we can talk about
I completely agree what you were saying. It was really great to see them. I remember we had talked about this, that we were hoping that they could go out on a high note. I feel like they definitely did, and they could be proud of themselves, and I'm really happy about that. I agree about Daniel's tango. I thought it was like way better technique, and I'm happy he got to go out on that kind of really good note. Especially since he had been pouring his all into it the entire competition, that we had talked about that. It's so evident, which is awesome to see. But I think in terms of kind of the overall, like, again, technique, performance, all that kind of stuff, it probably made sense that they were the two that went home.
Yeah. So overall thoughts on the episode. I love the intro at the beginning, especially the part with Wayne and the dial-up on the computer. Yes. I was like, oh, the fact that I like lived that, I just, wow, that's the whole thing. I was really happy they did the tribute to Aaron Carter, because I was home the other day, and then I just saw on Instagram about that he died, and I told my mom, and she was like, who is that? I'm like, Mom, you know who this is? And I was remembering, I was like, because then I was like, was he on Dancing with the Stars? Because I knew Nick Carter was, and then I forgot if he also was, and they both were. And so I think Aaron was only on it like 2 years ago, and I think Nick was on it like 7 years ago. He was on it like way longer ago. Yeah. And so I was showing my mom pictures, and she like kind of remembered a little bit. So I was, it like refreshed my memory that he was on the show. So, because I grew up listening to his music. I mean, it's oh my gosh, I'm like blanking on the song of it, but like I was Googling it, and I was like, oh my gosh, like these songs. That's like when I was like middle school. No, like grammar school, actually. It was kind of like 90s. It was like he was kind of relevant to the 90s and early 2000s music. So it was like that was kind of like the music I listened to in middle school too. So I felt really bad, and I know they're investigating some stuff about that. And then on a positive note, Alfonso came out on the dance floor for that one part, and I was like, ah! And then he at the one point says, he was like, oh, and some other guy that was out there. So those are just the other things I had. So it was like, I was happy we had the funny bits, and I'm glad that they did also have the tribute to Aaron.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I
Mhm.
thought I completely agree, hands down, that the opening at the beginning was so funny. I
Yeah.
love, like you said with Wayne, I loved Charlie and Heidi, where like she was like, "Mom, what are you talking about?" That was really funny. And I like with Gabby on the phone with the Trevor, that was really funny.
Yeah.
Um, and I thought that was really clever. And I just said Alfonso's dancing was so good. I thought that was so great. Um, and then I thought it was cool that they had all the special guests coming out and sing. I wrote
Yeah.
that down. I thought that was cool. I I like you said, I appreciated the Aaron Carter moment. I thought that was really, really nice and respectful of the show
Hmm.
that.
Yeah.
And I have two other things, but it's basically kind of like the dances in between the segments. I remember Daniela posting about this.
Yeah.
But the cha-cha she did with Sasha was probably one of the best I had seen like any pro do. It was like so
Hmm.
great. I remember Daniela was posting about it, how it was probably one of the fastest cha-chas she has done.
Yeah.
It really looked like it because it was insanely crazy, like fast. It was awesome. I loved it.
Yeah.
And
It's
then I
so
loved,
good.
yeah, it was so good. I loved it. And then I just said, "Oh, awesome. Awesome Blink 182 Troop
I
Band."
know. Yeah.
Yes, I was like, "That's fantastic." I was like, "Oh, that brings me back." I love that. That was awesome.
We were catching up tonight, my mom and I. So my dad was like, I sat down, we ate dinner, and I'm like, we need to watch this because Matthew and I have to record the episode tonight. And so like, we shift how we sit at the table, and then like my dad likes watching it too, but it's like mostly my mom and I need to watch. And so that part came on, and then he was like, "Oh, the band, I don't know, they sound familiar." I was like, "Blink 182, Dad." He's like, "I don't know." I was like, "It's Blink 182." Okay. Um. Anyway, so yeah, I would say it was cool to hear that.
That was fun to
So,
see that. Yeah.
and I remembered the song that Aaron Carter was like the big one was "I Want Candy." That is,
Oh yeah.
yeah. And then Aaron's Party was the one I remember that came up when I like had Googled it.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh gosh, I know it's such a shame.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
I'm glad that they
okay.
at least mentioned it. That was really nice.
Yeah. All right. Enough
Then
with the dancing. So,
yes.
or did you have anything else? Or are we
No, I
ready
was
for
just
the
gonna
beach?
say it's crazy that it's already the semifinals already. It seems like it's gone by so quickly
Yeah.
this season. Remember we talked about the premiere? I can still vividly remember the premieres. It was like crazy to me that it's
Yeah.
already semifinals, but my kind of pick for who will be in the semifinals is in the semifinals.
Yeah.
So I
Same.
think that's like it's
Hmm.
not no surprises. So I'm really excited to see who
Yeah.
ends up being the finale. And I'm really excited to see the finale. And I know we
Yeah.
talked about, I'm really excited to see everybody's freestyle, but I'm really hoping that Shangela makes the finale so we can see her
Yeah.
because that's going to be one of like the event for the ages. So
Yeah. I'm like kind of trying because that's the thing. I'm like, I'm just like I feel like Trevor's done an amazing job,
yeah, he
and so
has.
has Daniel. But part of me is just like I don't know if I see them in the final. I mean, look, if they make it great,
They
I'm
make
not
it. I'm not going to be,
against it. Yeah, I just do really feel like it should be Charlie, Gabby, Wayne,
Shangela.
and Shangela, like specifically
Yeah.
because so we can see her freestyle.
Exactly. And the thing with oh, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I just my mom was already telling me tonight. She was like, Wayne is my favorite to win. Like she just flat
Yes.
out said it. I was like, that's it.
That-
Like you don't. She was like, no, Wayne is my favorite to win because I like him. And I was like, okay. I was
that's
like,
that's
I
my
don't
mom's
know.
logic too.
I
That's
can
my mom's logic too.
see, yeah, because I think they connect the most with him. Like even though my mom watched Gabby and everything, I think it's like we've seen the Bachelorettes win again and
Yes.
again. I mean, I'd love it for Gabby. I'd love it for Charlie, even though that would just I don't know. I just feel like everybody just thinks it's so unfair. But like she,
Yeah.
I don't know.
This is one of the first, and I
Yeah,
think going back to this is a I remember I feel like it might have been in 2016, 17, maybe a little bit earlier than that, where it was the top four. It was the year Alfonso won. It was the top four of
yeah,
Alfonso, Sadie, Bethany, and Janelle. And that was the season where I would have been happy with any of the four winning. It's the same exact thing for
yeah,
this season. Like I
yeah,
I would probably be if I had to like pick and say, oh my gosh, who would I want to win? If I just had my pick, I would probably say Wayne or Gabby. Um,
yeah,
but if one of those four who
yeah,
we are expecting to be in the final, I'm gonna
yeah,
be really, really happy for any of those four. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I want Gabby to win selfishly because I'm just
yes,
like because I just want her to win.
I know me too.
But I kind of have a feeling Shangela's gonna win.
That'd be
But
great.
I really do
That'd
have a
be amazing.
feeling
I'd love
Shangela's
that.
gonna win, and I'm not disappointed in that. I just it's I don't know.
I'd be happy for anybody. So
Yeah, so we'll see. Oh goodness. All right, on to the beach.
let's do it.
And ta-da. Okay.
Back into the beach in
Right.
November.
So, all right. So Kate, we start off. Kate has not come back from the date with Hayden yet. Logan
Yes.
and Jacob are like catching up, talking about it. Kate, Kate's commentary was
Oh my
so
gosh. So bad.
frustrating. She's like, "Oh, I feel like I gotta carry this date on my back, like blah 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 blah," because like Hayden just was like not having the zip lining thing, and I just was like, "Girl, this is all gonna get aired on TV. What are you?" Ugh.
I know.
I mean, listen, she's not wrong about that
Yes,
statement,
she's not
but
wrong.
like,
Yeah.
it was just the whole. I don't know. They really just were like in the moments were like, tell us how you feel about both of these men, and we're gonna just like give all the details, and then they took it and they just literally aired all of it
Yes.
because they were like, here, let me give you my full psychoanalysis on each of them. And she's very blunt on her opinions, but
Yes.
you know, so I didn't. It was so weird. So she comes back, then she eventually goes to talk to Logan. She said that she wanted to voice her frustrations to him that he did not fight for her, and he didn't say anything right away because he was probably like, "What the heck?"
Mhm.
And he, um, he said, "I feel like you had just made up your mind to go on the date with him, and like nothing I was gonna say was gonna you were gonna
Yeah.
agree with." I agree. I agree. That's how she acted. But anyway, then it was like all fine. She was happy that he said that he didn't want her to go on the date. And then it starts raining and everybody's like, "Oh my gosh," and then the thing, and then they're making out and everybody's like cheering and they're like, pick her up, and they're cheering and Hayden's there like with this whole thing. I was like, what in the world is going on? But I will say, I am glad that he turned it back on her to be forthcoming about her thoughts after he was open about his, because you know, he kind of was like, well, I told you my thoughts, like you need to tell me your thoughts. And then she's
Yeah.
like, I pursued you from the jump. And I'm like, hi, what about Jacob?
No, I know. I know.
Uh yeah. So I don't know. So did you have anything on that whole segment? Because then we'll go to the next day.
Yes. And so there's a few things I had before that. It was cool to see. This is all pretty self-explanatory because all the couples were kind of hanging out that have already been together and
Mm-hmm.
pretty strong relationships. And it was nice to see that all of them are doing well and stuff like that with like Serene and Brandon and Brittany and Tyler and all that kind of stuff. And I thought it was interesting that they didn't have her come back, or they didn't have them come back until this episode, and
Yeah.
that's how they aired it. But I I didn't really, like you said, I just felt it was so frustrating with Kate's commentary. I didn't really like it at all. And then he said he was
No.
confused, which I could see why he'd be confused about the whole thing. And then I had said right about the rating and making out thing. Oh, I said at the beginning because she was very blunt about saying like the pros and cons of both people. And I said, well, it seems like Kate is interested in Hayden's money. And then it was like because she was talking about how
So
it
ridiculous.
was so ridiculous. And it wasn't the first, that wasn't the only time she mentioned it because she was like, well, and I don't know if she meant to phrase it this way, but she kind of came off as like that's what she's looking for in somebody. Like it's fine if you're looking for somebody that's driven and is accomplished.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
when she
Yeah.
had said, "Oh, these are like non-negotiables for me," and then she immediately followed it with, "Well, Hayden makes six figures," and I'm like, "Come on!" I was like, I don't, that was so frustrating. I hated it. But then going back to the whole kissing in the rain thing, I said
Yeah.
this feels very rom-com-ish with like the
That
whole
was the whole thing. She's like, it was like
around
a
the
scene
whole
from the Notebook. I'm like, oh my
exactly, yeah, that was the
god.
whole thing.
Gag
Exactly.
me with the spoon. No,
Yeah,
don't
oh
actually.
my gosh.
Like
um
sometimes I'm like, I can't. I
I
mean, I
can't,
was happy for them in the moment, but it's
I
like, oh
was
my god.
too, but it was that whole thing where she was like, "Can you give that to me?" And he was like, "Yeah, I can." And she was like, "You got to fight for me more." Then of course it starts
Well,
raining.
yeah, it was just well, they keep, and that's a recurring theme of
That's
this
a recurring
episode.
theme, yeah. So that's not the only time she does that, but it's like that whole back and forth, like in a rom com and in the rain and the kissing. So that's where I thought it just really it was
Yeah,
a whole romantic comedy, played out, and I loved. I was like, everybody's cheering, and I was like, that's really funny. I was like,
it's just like,
yay!
what is this? Why do we always have to cheer when Kate and Logan kiss? They did it with Shanae, and they did it with...
No, I
oh,
know.
whatever.
And she said that she could see the future with him, so I think that's an
Yeah, well,
interesting thing. I was like, well, like, I don't know. Like
the
again,
next day.
the next day, exactly. Yeah, the next
Oh,
day. That's all I have.
yeah, the next day she keeps like she wakes up and they literally show her talking to every single woman on
Yes.
that beach. my sister in Christ, I am 33 years old. That exact phrase. And it's not like they just like dubbed it. No, they had her in multiple stances saying that
Yes.
phrase. And I was like, oh, okay. At least Shanae and Kate seem to be talking normally now.
Yes.
That's a good thing, after the last few episodes. Here we go again with the like on paper thing about Hayden. And I'm thinking, girl, why would you pick Hayden if you didn't even really click on the date? Okay, this is probably the only time I really want to even divulge this. I have very limited dating history, okay? But it didn't click well on some of the dates that I had gone on. And it's just you could not pay me enough to be like, no, you couldn't pay me enough. I don't understand. Like, I don't know. Like, okay, there's a fine line between wanting to make sure that somebody's established and just like you're literally just overlooking all these other things with money.
Yes.
Now, obviously later on we see she does pick Logan. And like whatever. So I think it's like I said, they took all of her commentary in the moments and they just put it all out there.
Yeah.
Because we don't know how much was she just saying that and how much did she like actually she actually like wrestling with it. And I don't know. I just it's just like girl, calm down. Like I'm thinking you ain't ending up with any of these men long term. Let's just be real here. Okay. So I don't know. That was my whole thing on the situation. But she did make the comment about like Logan doesn't even make enough. Like I guess she works at Equinox or something.
Okay.
She's like, Logan wouldn't even make enough to go work out at Equinox. And I'm like, look, if that's you are 33 and because I'm 31. So I'm like, I get it. But it's not so much about the age. It's about like, I don't know. I don't remember what Logan does for work. I don't know any of these things. But it's like, I don't know. It's also just hard to like really, in my opinion, it's hard to really determine that when you're on the show.
Yeah.
Because you're not really in like real life. You're kind of in this moment of like you're all on vacation. So you're gonna act this way. And like, Shanae, although very blunt, her advice I think was kind of just like you just have to go with the person that you're more interested in.
Yes.
For lack of explaining it the exact way Shanae did. And I think that is a valid point. And then it's like, okay, you just try to see what happens outside of paradise.
Yes.
But I don't know, whatever. Okay, that was my whole thing. But before we get into the rose ceremony, did you have anything else about the whole morning?
It's just kind of echoing off what you said. I just thought it was really I just thought it was so annoying where like when she woke up and then she was like she kept talking about how the date like she didn't really enjoy it in terms of like the effort that was being given and stuff like that. But then she kept trying to kind of like give her kind of like an excuse or a reason to be like, well, like Hayden has this and Hayden has that. And he's like, again, and then with the whole money thing again. And it's like, girl, you just said you didn't like hanging out with, like, it's like you didn't have fun. It's like, are you and it's like, I just didn't like how she was
couldn't
like,
pay me enough.
No,
you couldn't pay me enough to be that uncomfortable. No.
Yeah, there ain't no way for me. So I just found that really annoying where she was just like, well, I don't know. When she was like literally just said, oh, I didn't have a fun time. So I just don't like, or she had said, I just really like, it didn't seem like it connected well with me. So it was really weird.
Yeah. I mean, Hayden's also, from what I've seen on the shows, he's not my favorite.
Yeah.
That's another thing.
We don't know what he's like in real life, but
yeah. I don't know. Oh, all right. Anyway, so we go to the rose ceremony. Aaron and Genevieve. He is really the king of taking forever to make his point.
Yes.
But he does say that he loves her back. That was actually when Shanae gave Kate the advice. Sorry, I just.
Oh yeah.
Then she talked. Okay, so she did go talk to Hayden, and she gave Hayden a tennis ball for Rambo. And I was like, okay, well that's nice because you also know you're probably gonna break up with him in like 30 minutes to an hour. So that's nice. I mean, I think that's the point. Is like the general consensus probably of all of Bachelor Nation is we feel the support for Rambo, but we're also like, Hayden, why are you there? But part of me is just like, well, they do get paid for Paradise, so he's making that bank to pay for that dog.
Yes.
So I think it's like, yeah, we do obviously care about him and the dogs. So that was also with production with the tennis ball. Yes. Michael and Justin go talk. And then Rodney and Eliza talk, and it seemed to go well. Then it was the same with Justin. So then it's like, oh dear. And Eliza started freaking out that she can't make a decision. Victoria made it a point to emphasize in her like ITM that Rodney is the right choice. And that was everything I had right before they start handing out the roses. So what else?
Yeah, no, I just kind of piggybacking off what you were saying. I obviously probably production with the tennis ball, but that was just kind of a funny thing. It was nice to see that.
Yeah.
I said with the whole Justin and Michael thing, like that was like nice to go see that. But then like with Eliza and Rodney, it's just like when you talk to Rodney, it was like, okay, this is fun. I mean, when you talk to Justin, oh yeah, when you talk to Rodney, I put she doesn't seem that interested or as interested, and and I don't think she's trying to be mean about it, but like when she went to go talk to Justin, she was like all happy and like, oh my gosh, and I just felt so bad for Rodney, and it was just like, and then Justin got her the gummy bears and stuff like that, where he was like, well, I know you like your candy and stuff like that. And they were laughing and kissing, and I said she seems way more interested in Justin, at least based on kind of like what she's giving off in terms of like her reaction. And Eliza was talking with the girls, kind of like what she thought. What they were thinking, like you were saying, that was just to kind of go with her gut and stuff like that. So I do agree with that. And I felt bad just because she had said that she wanted to go home, and I do agree that decision was probably difficult for her.
Yeah.
But I felt so bad that like Rodney felt like he had gotten her back, or at least had somewhat of a chance. And then he was like, yeah, okay. And then she went over like not even a few seconds later and went to go talk to Justin and had like an even better time with him. And I'm like, that's not like, there's no problem with that, but I just feel so bad for Rodney, man. He's just like one of the most genuine guys, and then he can't catch a break. I just feel so bad. So that's all I have, but
yeah, I did see a thing on Instagram. They're like, let's bring Rodney and Luce back together. I just want to keep saying Luce this place. All right. So Jesse's speech was so dramatic.
Oh, I know.
And then the ladies were handing out the roses again for the third time in a row. They had 4 rose ceremonies, and the girls handed it out 3 times, which like I don't know. I think it just really doubles down on the fact that the guys that came to the resort literally did not stand a chance.
Yes,
okay,
I know.
because by the end of this episode, they're all gone except for Tyler.
Exactly.
So Genevieve gives it to Aaron, Jasenia to Andrew, Brittany to Tyler, Victoria Johnny, Danielle to Michael, Serene to Brandon, Flo to Justin, the twin Justin, Shanae to Joey, Kate. I really hate all of her justifications for Hayden, so I'm glad she picked Logan. That's literally how I wrote it. But she's like, I need more. Can you give that to me? And I was like, red flag. And Logan was just like, I'm supposed to feel like happy and chosen, and I don't. And
I totally agree with that. That's gonna
be a next episode thing. And then Eliza, picks Rodney, but then she's clearly shaken up, and then she pulls Justin to talk.
It's not a good sign.
No, and then so then Hayden, Jacob, and Alex also leave, and then Justin went off in the limo and is crying. So that was all I had about the roses. I don't know, what do you think about?
Yeah, like you said, it was cool to see. I mean, like it was obviously pretty self-explanatory for almost all the couples. But I said I don't like the way that Kate's handling this, because she kind of just like upfront was like, "You're not giving me enough. Can you?" I'm like, that defeats the whole purpose of like the whole giving the person the rose thing. Like, I just don't like it. And then what is Logan supposed to say? He just seems so shaken up. He's like, okay, like I felt so bad for him. And then
I would leave if I
would too.
I'd be like, you know what? Bye. Like, no, actually, he can stay, because then hopefully one of the other girls pulls something. Well,
if it was me, I would have left.
Anyway, I'm gonna be quiet.
You know what? It's like you clearly are like not like you don't like me for me, so I'm like I'm out. But and then with the Eliza and Rodney thing, I said I love how all of them were so happy, and they were like all silently like yeah, and then there was like some in the background. But I was like, oh no. And then I thought that Justin, Hayden, and Jacob, like their goodbyes were nice. And I said Justin isn't making this any easier, at least in that moment, because he kept going like,
no,
you can make the right decision, and like he kind of was doing what Aaron does to Genevieve, where he kind of keeps milking the moment, even if he's not meaning to do it on purpose. And that just I think made Eliza feel even worse about the situation, because you could tell by her reaction. And then I said I feel bad for Justin, not knowing what was going to happen at the end of the episode, but I had a kind of inkling about it. But I said I feel bad for Justin, but I agree Rodney's a better fit for her. But that's what I said. But we'll see this later. But that was my thought in the moment. But I just didn't. I don't know. It was just crazy.
Oh, so then the next morning, Logan was concerned about like proving to Kate that he's committed. So I don't know. I don't think too much happened with that. They're just like showing that. I think it's gonna come to fruition more in the next episode.
Yeah.
It looked like it in the previews. Because now they're gonna have more girls come on the beach. So Michael and Danielle get a date card, and then they go into Sayulita is the town, which I know Wells like talks about on the podcast about how he loves the town like there and everything because he's gone so many times. Michael jumps onto Wells to greet him.
I know, I love that. That's what I put too.
And I love the way that Wells really like enunciated bienvenidos.
Yes, that was really funny.
Oh my gosh, they go ride the horses around the town, and the fact that Wells was everywhere and the way he was riding the horse to get ahead of them was hysterical.
I know, that was so funny.
And so like that was the thing because like he was showing up everywhere, and they're like, okay, you know, Wells is great, love the guy, but like leave us alone, okay? But I did like the part when they all sat down and they had the three of them talking, and because that's the thing about how like Wells and Danielle did have a friendship previously, and they didn't really have any like big relationship thing. But the last time she was on Paradise, Wells was the bartender at the time, and he did kiss her before she left. And then, but it was like literally a few months after that, I think he started dating Sarah. Because everybody's like, are they gonna date? Are Danielle and Wells gonna date? And then it was like, but then you know, she talks about, oh, I remember when you first showed me like or talked to me about Sarah, and he was so happy and all those things. And then I love Wells and Sarah's relationship too. So I think it was cool because I'm just happy that Wells has had a little more like TV moments now.
Yeah.
Later on in the season. Just because I love Wells so much. I was joking. I'm like, people should just play like a drinking game with the podcast. Like every time I say I love Wells. So anyway. But no, I just, and he was like, you guys can come to the wedding. And he's like, well, you're already invited, but let's see if you're invited.
Yeah, that was really funny.
I don't know. Like, when's the wedding? I forgot. I have to go like stalk the photos.
I know.
Maybe they weren't allowed to post, but we'll see.
Yeah,
but
probably.
That's all I had on their date. So I don't know. They're great together because then they had a little more time. And I feel good about them moving forward.
I completely agree. I thought it was really funny with when Wells, like when they during the day, I love because I wrote everything down that he did. I thought it was so funny when he like walked around. He's like, I got tacos, I got hats, I got chocolate bananas, I got drink. I just thought that was like so funny. And he, like, I know, and he was just like at the freaking stand, like at the places where they were getting those things. I love he was like he had those things. He's like, here, have one. That was so funny. I said this was obviously planned, but it was just like it made it funny. And then I definitely agree that they seem really good together, Danielle and Michael. I think they definitely go well together, and I could see them being a thing long term. I am happy about that. I love that conversation, like you said, of the three of them, which he was talking about the Sarah situation, or and him, his relationship with Sarah, and how like he found his person and stuff like that, and how he felt like that could be a thing for them as well. I thought that was really sweet, and you could tell how good a friends they are. So I was happy to see that. I said, and I know a lot of people have been complaining about this, but they definitely have been getting a really good edit throughout the whole season. But I think it's fine because I do think they are good together. So I'm happy about that. And I really am happy to see them because I do think that they can last long term. So I'm hoping that they do. So because I really do like them together.
Well, it's like I think the biggest thing is it's just like I think everybody can see through what happened with like him with Sierra, and it's like obviously the production's giving Michael that, and I think I don't know, I think whatever, we'll see what goes down at the reunion. I read some things, but I don't know. I think it's like because I said to my mom, I'm like, look, Michael should have handled it better with Sierra, and I think he has owned up to it since then. But I think the biggest thing is it's just like aside that separately, I am happy for him and Danielle.
Yes.
So that was really about their date. And then then they cut back to the beach. Then Shanae and Brittany were talking about like how everybody smells, and then Brittany hugs Tyler, and he's like, what are you doing? Smelling me? And it was just so like whatever. I don't know. They had that.
And then Shanae said that Logan smelled like leather, so I was like, okay.
I was just like, I don't know what's going on. But so then Rodney, Andrew, and Brandon start talking, and like Rodney was all like happy and
I knew this was a
whatever.
I knew it.
And then they pan to Eliza in bed crying, and then this is when all of it started. So she eventually comes down to the beach to talk to Rodney. They send Andrew. So like they're talking, and all of them are like, "Oh my God, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on?" So they send Andrew over, and they're like, "Give us a thumbs up or thumbs down," and he's there, and he's like, "Thumbs down." Oh, and and he's like telling the girls, he's like, "Oh man, like Rodney thought that this woman was his wife," so like they're all literally, yeah, he just literally like kind of said goodbye to her and leaves, and then she goes to leave to go after Justin in Baltimore. And I do really, feel bad for him. They all feel so bad for him. And literally everyone on the beach is crying. And
Yes.
they milked the scene because they just wanted to make it look like Brandon and Serene broke up. Okay.
Yes. Oh, I
And
know.
there's still more crying in the next episode about it. So they totally milked it for that
Yes.
thing. Oh my gosh. But yeah, and then that was basically kind of
Yeah.
yeah, the girls, they go to comfort her also because they're like, the girls should also go see Eliza because everybody feels bad about Rodney. But so she goes to see Justin, and the cameras like followed her to Baltimore, and then his reaction when he opens the door, and he was just like whatever. And
Then to be continued.
yeah, to be continued. I don't know, I didn't feel like it was so like cliffhangery because I don't know. I just feel like I guess I have a better understanding of like my opinion of Justin's personality, and I think he'll be like fine with it. Um, of like trying to explore it. I personally don't really have a hunch that it's gonna go very far, but
Yeah,
like,
neither.
look, I think of course everybody felt like Rodney was the right choice, but she's got to go with what she feels is right, and I think it's like
Yeah.
it's Rodney just like objectively, here we go to like on paper thing. He's the one that was like ready, committed to her, like they had a good connection, and I think that's the point. But if she's at this point that she's just not, maybe she's not like fully ready for that, and that's why I think
Yeah.
maybe Justin's a better choice. And it's not like Justin's not ready for that either. I think it's just they weren't looking at it the same way, Rodney and her, so it's just not going to work.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. We'll see what happens with that.
Yeah.
And then yeah. So what did you have on that whole thing?
Oh
Okay,
my
with the
gosh, I had so
previews
many
and the
notes.
end clip.
Oh my gosh, I know I had so many notes. I had said that it was really crazy how like when I knew I've watched this show way too long to
Yeah,
know like what's gonna happen. Especially like when Rodney was talking to
yeah.
the guys, it was like, oh my gosh, this is great. I got her back,
Hmm.
and it's gonna be so awesome. And I typed it, or I put in my notes, and where's Eliza? And then I was like, and there she is. I was like, I knew that's gonna happen. I was like, that's classic
Yeah,
Bachelor franchise editing at its finest. I was like, I knew it. I knew that was gonna happen. Yeah, like you said, I'm happy she's being honest with him. I said I definitely think Rodney
hmm,
deserves better, and not in the sense that Eliza did anything wrong. It's fine that she feels that way. I just feel like she maybe could have communicated a little better, especially with
yeah,
the like in the first date when Justin came back and she went on the date with him and kind of made it seem like, oh well, like you're not gonna fight for me, or you're not gonna like pursue me. I'm just gonna go over to
yeah.
Justin. We were
Well, that
talking,
whole thing, yeah.
that whole thing was crazy. So like you were saying, if you are like if you are you're not for that person, that's fine. But I would rather like I said, I would rather have Rodney be with somebody that like is all in it for him, and I know he has that. I know he'll find that.
Yeah.
Um the thing, and you got to know that the Bachelor producers are like, or the producers were like, we like they knew they had this story with this whole cliffhanger thing. They just like used iPhones for this whole like
Hmm.
this whole situation with Justin and Eliza, where they probably had sent a producer with those like with Eliza back to Baltimore. It was like, okay, we don't care how we're gonna film this. We don't even care it's on phones. We're just gonna get it captured somehow. And that's what they did. And I was like, it's just they milked the whole thing so much. Like you said, I don't think it's gonna go anywhere too far. I hope that they definitely deserve happiness. I don't think Eliza did that out of any like meanness or anything. But
No,
I just
no,
think
no,
that
neither do I.
I just don't think that they obviously are not for each other. Rodney and
Yeah.
Eliza. I think that they should find their own people. That might be better suited for them. I felt bad for Rodney because you could tell how upset he was, and he was kind of hiding it, like Andrew was saying. Like
Hmm.
the strong face, he was upset, and I just felt bad
Yeah.
about that because he's a really genuine guy. It was nice to see that was um everybody was there comforting him. It was nice to see that he
Hmm.
um that he has those friendships on the beach. So I was happy about that. And like I said, he'll hands down find somebody else. And if it doesn't work out with Eliza and Justin, I think they'll both find people, which was nice to see. It was definitely hard to watch, but I think best. And that's all I had on that. But I definitely agree of how it kind of all happened and transpired.
Oh yeah, so I was like, all right, so we got that all done. I'm gonna see what happens next week. So the previews, the biggest like major thing is that Gabby and Rachel show up at the beach.
They do.
That will be interesting. We'll see what
their seasons on the beach.
Yeah. Well, that's why like Logan's like, how many of my exes are on this beach right now? We're gonna shake it all up.
Yeah.
And then the end clip with Jacob in the limo, and I was like, it was clearly such a bit with production, but it was hilarious because it's like
awesome.
You know that he's doing it just for that reason.
Yes.
And he's like, something's just not right. And he takes all his clothes off, and then he does his Tarzan yell, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy. Oh gosh, I don't know, but we're gonna miss his comic relief. But no, it was funny. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. We've got a little more with Paradise, but
back to 2 next week.
Oh goodness. Anything else with that, or should I
close this out? That's pretty much all I had. It was a fun episode, but it's good to see we're closing up on the end of Paradise, so we'll see what happens.
I was like, we got 2 more weeks. Okay. Well, thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Please remember to like this video, subscribe to us on YouTube, hit the post notification bell so you're notified when we update. And if you enjoyed it, share it with a friend. Also follow us on Instagram at Ballrooms and Bachelors and at our personal Instagram accounts, which are linked in our Instagram bio and appear at the end screen of this episode. And just a reminder before we post next week's episodes, definitely stay tuned to our personal Instagrams and the podcast page, because by the time we record the next podcast episode, I will have already done my competition. We'll be posting some more behind the scenes content on our training for the competition that we're doing. We're planning to do, and we'll give more details in the next episode, the Saturday, the 19th of November. We're planning to do an Instagram live at some point from the competition, and we're going to plan to post some of our blooper reels on the YouTube soon. We had some from the first 10 episodes. We want to post them from the next 10 episodes, and we'll start to, as we move forward, once the shows are over, we're going to start posting some more bonus episodes. So more details on that is coming soon. We have to get through the competition and the finales of the shows. That's a handful. So, or a mouthful rather. So, okay. See you next week.
See you next week, guys. Bye.